Hey, what's up, everybody? We're gonna do another Q&A here. Actually, no, this isn't really I guess it is. I had a subscriber. I tried to find your name so I can give you the shout out for this one. But the overall vibe, man, people are really liking these Q&As, man. I'm gonna keep rolling with them. Getting still lots of emails with more comparisons and really people wanting to know how I feel about such and such band versus this band, or how they've affected me or influenced me or may not have influenced me. Same thing with guitar players. So this one, it's funny, I wish I could have found it, but it was someone saying they want to know how I feel about Vito Bratta. And this subscriber of mine, I could tell, was a huge Vito Bratta fan. For those of you who don't know who he is, he was the guitar player for White Lion. White Lion they formed in '83 with Vito and went till '92. I wrote a few little things down that I wanted to bring up that are factual things. You know, he's Vito now. Here we are, 2016. He's 54 years old, and of course you can look this stuff up online. But I'm going to get into how I feel about him in a second. Born in Staten Island, New York. He's from New York, and there was a quote from him where Vito said, "I've run into kids that can play Wait." So I've run into kids that can play Wait, the song Wait, better than I can. But what's the point? Being a technician is only part of the equation. And I'm trying to study the other half, songwriting. Thought that was a pretty interesting, cool quote. Sounds like a very humble dude. And a lot of times, these amazing guitar players are. His influences: Jimmy Page, Eddie Van Halen, obviously, and Robin Trower, amongst others. I was reading up a little bit. He's kind of kept a safe distance between White Lion or Mike Tramp, or I guess maybe the rest of White Lion. He did have an injury with his wrist, and I remember when that happened. It was back in the 90s. I might have even wrote that down. Yeah, 97, and had some like family issues and stuff with his dad. Kind of went into seclusion, man. Kind of that's how I felt about Nuno Betancourt from Extreme for a while. It's like, man, this amazing talent, man, and where are these guys? They used to have a show. I don't know if it was on MTV or VH1 where they were trying to reunite these bands, these '80s bands, before the '80s bands kind of took off again. I don't know if you guys remember that show, but they'd reconnect, and some of them were even '70s bands. They were just trying to get them back together, man, and get the ball rolling again. And a lot of these bands would go for it, man. They'd do it and relight that fire. And with Vito, it just never happened. Who knows? We know that there was the wrist issue that has affected his playing, and from what I understand, still is affecting his playing. Not that he can't play at all, but we don't know the extremes of it, unless you know Vito. If you do, tell Vito to call me. Some interesting information here. Mike Tramp, the singer from White Lion, had tried to get some other guitar players to step into Vito's shoes. One of them was Paul Gilbert, and the other was Warren DeMartini. Did you guys know that? And both of them declined. And it wasn't because it was like, Vito's better than us. It wasn't a thing like that, I can guarantee you. It was the way. Now I'm going to get into how I feel about it. And they do have a guitar player now, Jamie Law, who's been with them for over a decade. But now on to, how does Mike Gross feel about Vito? I remember hearing him. The first song that really kicked them off was Wait. And I remember being floored by it. You guys know I'm a huge Eddie Van Halen fan. Even something about Vito reminded me of Eddie, his look even. But there's something uniquely different, though, that made him different sounding than Eddie Van Halen as well, too. It's almost like, you hear the solo to Wait. And I did one of these where we were talking about Randy Rhoads, and Eddie Van Halen, how Randy kind of orchestrated these solos and masterpieces and made them come together. That's how I feel about Vito. You know, he sat down and really thought out the solos. It wasn't always about just the shred. It's just really, I mean, listen to the song Wait. You know, it's timeless. The solo to this day, I still go, whoa, man, this guy was just really something special. Vito really had his own sound and vibe and feel and technical aspect and the flash. He was really a really big package. I wish we had more, you know, of Vito to listen to. Just the way he approached that solo alone, but really all of the White Lion stuff was just brilliant because it wasn't just his solos. Of course, we looked forward to hearing them. You know, make the hair stand up on your arms, man, in your head. See, this happened when I heard Wait. My hair just started standing on end, and it hasn't left. No, just kidding. I used to have super long hair. But, you know, the way it was, you can tell it was thought out. You know, he didn't just improv the solo to Wait. It was sat down and heartfelt and technique, and it's all these cool concepts put into one. You know, he starts with the harmonic taps and the sliding with it, and then the tapping. Just beautiful. I can go on and on about just the solo to Wait. You know, we have Little Fighter, and you know, they did the ballad of When the Children Cry. So I feel like this, outside of him just being an amazing soloist, that from a songwriting aspect, he was good. You know, I remember people kind of slamming them. You know, the more metaler guys. You know, the metal dudes. I had friends back in the day that did. I'm like, shut up, man. Just shut up. You know, it's like, it was the same thing with the band Europe. You know, Europe's a great band. The guitar player, who was it? They're not going to pop into my mind. John Levin had two guitar players. They were both fabulous. I think one or two of them went on to play with Don Dokken on the Up From the Ashes album, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on a few of those. But anyways, we're talking about Vito here. You know, to have DeMartini and Warren DeMartini from Rat and Paul Gilbert from Mr. Big, Racer X, you know, decline that offer makes you go, wow. You know, why? It makes you wonder why. You know, I've given you my reasoning on why I think he's just very stylistically hard to emulate as a player. Those are shoes that they were just like, nah, it's okay, stick to what I'm doing. You know, they're awesome anyways, right? DeMartini and Paul Gilbert. So yeah, I guess that just kind of sums it up. Definitely impacted me as a guitar player, no doubt about it. I loved his playing. You know, a little tiny bit of him reminds me of a guitar player that I don't know if you guys will remember, named Steve Lynch. Not related to George Lynch. His name's Steve Lynch. He played for a band called Autograph, and you've probably heard the song, Turn Up the Radio. Steve Lynch was more into doing a lot of the 8-finger tapping and stuff, but I don't know, little tad bit of, I hear a little bit of that Steve Lynch vibe too. But Vito stands on his own, you know, hands down, as one of the greats from the 80s that impacted so many guitar players, and you don't hear a lot about that, you know. We don't, I think recently Eddie Trunk from That Metal Show was able to interview Vito. I don't think it was like a live thing on the show either. It was just a audio thing, and I'm going to check that out. I read a little something about that, but really kind of went into hiding. We don't know how bad the wrist injury was or anything, but we have his music, what he did do. If you think about it, we only had 2 albums with amazing Randy Rhoads, you know. Of course, he had the Quiet Riot stuff, but he was more, you know, evolved into, you know, his, but the prime of Randy Rhoads was with, you know, the 2 Ozzy albums, the maturity and everything he's playing. So I love Vito Bratta. Okay, you just told me to come on here and ramble about him and tell you guys how I felt. I love his playing, man. I think he's fabulous, and his chordings and his melodic concepts with his chords and his soloing that he brought together and joined those 2 worlds. So subscribe to this channel. We're going to end it here. Add me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can read those in the description below. And go add me. Be sure to share these things. Keep your Q&As coming, all right? I got tons of questions, and this one just, I chuckled, man, when I read it. I wish you could find the comment, just the way you worded it. So appreciate you guys. Long live Vito. He's amazing. And maybe we can get some more of his stuff in the near future. We'll see ya.